A friend recently told me he saw a bald eagle sitting on a tree during his walk. He then pulled out his phone and showed the proof. There was the bald eagle sitting in a tree. Here's a key point to remember in 2026 and beyond. The person making a claim has the burden of proof. The burden of proof is simply the obligation to prove one's assertion. This is important because it means you don't need to know every detail of every religion, or every worldview or conspiracy theory. Let's uncover today three practical tools that will help conversations keep the burden of proof on track. Ask for reasons, ask for clarification, and respectfully challenge. Now, let me clarify this is a great conversation tactic, but it's not a trick and it's not deceptive. As Greg Kokel writes, reversing the burden of proof is not a trick to avoid defending our ideas. When we give opinions, we have to answer for them, just like anyone else. We have a responsibility, but so do they. First, ask for reasons. If someone says the universe has always existed, before jumping into the second law of thermodynamics and the Born-Guth-Vilenkin theorem, you can simply ask, how did you reach that conclusion? That allows the person to provide their reasons for what they believe and to open the door to understanding what they mean. We live in a multiverse. How did you discover that? I think everyone is basically good. Interesting. How did you reach that conclusion? History and civilization was reset 300 years ago. That's a big claim. What's your evidence for that? Simply asking for the reason someone believes what they do or why they arrived at their conclusion is a great starting point. Number two, ask for clarification. Asking simply, what do you mean by that? This helps bring clarity. I think everyone is basically good. What do you mean by that? Or what do you mean by good? I don't think there's any proof of God anywhere. What do you mean by God? Maybe the person has the idea of a created God or a weak God or an immoral God, which I also reject. This can also be very helpful when using terms that have multiple definitions, such as the word evolution, which has at least 6 different definitions. What do you mean by evolution? Number three, questions can be used to respectfully challenge. Muslims and Christians worship the same God. Do Muslims believe Jesus is God? And do they accept the Trinity? The Gospel of Thomas wasn't included in the Bible because they just didn't like it as much. Do you think maybe it's because it was written a century or two later and long after Thomas died? Reincarnation was in the Bible before they took it out. How would that even happen? Which manuscripts were altered? Overall, remember that the burden of proof is on the person making the claim. Questions are excellent for asking for reasons, asking for clarification, and respectfully challenging. Lastly, Christians, we need to be ready to support our claims, like my friend showing off the photo of the bald eagle. Always be prepared to give an answer to everyone who asks you to give the reason for the hope that you have, but do this with gentleness and respect. The evidence for Christianity is beautiful and overwhelming. Learn it and share it with others.